Hey everyone, so anarcho-capitalists define the state such that it has both normative and descriptive components. They define the state as being the institution which claims for itself a monopoly on the use of force or acquires its revenue through force rather than through voluntary means. The obvious normative component here is force, because by force, ANCAPs don't mean some mere act of behaviour, they mean an act of behaviour which violates the non-aggression principle. The non-aggression principle states that it is immoral to violate legitimate property rights. And so their conceptualization of the state relies on a normative component of force, which in turn relies on the non-aggression principle, which in turn relies on how it is that we are conceptualizing property rights. Now, from this it follows that if you conceptualize property rights such that the components of the rights or the strength of those rights versus other normative considerations is such that when the state acts, it is not violating any rights. That is to say, no legitimate property rights are being violated because part of our notion of a property right's legitimacy is that, for example, it can be trumped by guaranteeing social justice. And if we hold that view, it follows that from a purely internal perspective, as say a liberal, they aren't advocating a state by the anarcho-capitalist definition, since no rights are being violated when the state taxes people, as it's not part of individuals' rights to not be taxed in this manner. Therefore, the non-aggression principle isn't being violated, therefore the state isn't using force, therefore it is not a state by the ANCAP definition. And the implications of this is that whenever anarcho-capitalists argue against the state, they are question-begging. They are assuming a given set of rights that are being violated by the state as part of their argument due to their normative conception of the state having to have this component of illegitimate violations of property rights. And so they're going to have to really begin their project with a justification of property rights, and unless they do that, all their arguments are going to be question-begging. And too many ANCAPs fail to realise this. They fail to realise that they're going to have to begin with that justification before they can go on to talking about the non-aggression principle, since that begs the question about what is legitimate or illegitimate property rights, and arguing against the state, since that begs the question again about legitimate versus illegitimate property rights. So ANCAPs have a lot of work to do, which I think shows how incredibly theoretically weak they are. They are in a position of great theoretical poverty because of the framework that they have, because of their overly normative conceptions of the state, relying on other normative conceptions, which are in turn relying on further concrete questions about property rights. So I hope that's clear. Have a nice day.